Prince Hall Freemasonry. To fully understand and appreciate the significance of Prince Hall Freemasonry led to the establishment of the oldest and largest predominantly African American fraternity in the United States. Prince Hall's story represents the struggles that black men, women.
Now he done did another identification. Now he's saying black. You just identified as African American, but now you're identifying as black. You have to be specific. Law is specific.
His creation of Prince Hall Freemasonry serves as an exceptionally important reminder that the craft should be accessible to every man, regardless of his color, creed, or background.
Not true. Every man must identify with his foremothers and forefathers' bloodline. You must honor your foremothers and forefathers so that your days be long upon the earth. That's why you're calling yourself ambiguous identities. You don't know your national descent or your foremothers and forefathers' national appellations, which is El Bey, Day, Al, and Ali. They'll have you go 80 years through this Freemasonry and never tell you. You say your brotherhood, but all of your last nomens or your last names are different. You're supposed to be one family bearing one free national name. You are disrespectful.
In the early years of the Revolutionary War, Hall actively encouraged freed blacks to serve the American colonial military. His reasoning for this was that if blacks were instrumental in helping found the United States, it would support their cause for emancipation and equality.
So Prince Hall told his own brothers to help the colonialists, the colonizers, the ones who was committing genocide against the Moorish Empire. And he said to help them kiss their feet so maybe they'll help us in the end, to help them be recognized. United States was already recognized by the Moorish Empire to do commerce. I don't think you all are realizing the real history, and I don't think that you have the keys. This man was calling himself names that delude to slavery, but saying he was an abolitionist. Robert Purvis is who established the Underground Railroad, and he knew his grandmother was of Moorish descent, and he knew about the Moorish Empire. You even called the land that he was born in New England. That's the name of the colonizers. England was the ones who made us forget our tongue and took over the Moorish Empire, cutting off all the Moorish kings' heads and instituting Christianity, which Prince Hall, they said, was a member of the Christian church. You have not received any of these keys. You still call yourself names that delude to slavery.
It would support their cause for emancipation and equality. In spite of their service, blacks did not receive racial equality at the end of the war.
Because you were supposed to hand back the gods of Europe and take on your foremothers and forefathers' names, the Moorish Americans, El Bey, Day, Al, and Ali.
It was within this setting that Prince Hall, alongside other prominent blacks of the age, came together to propose legislation for equal rights. Prince Hall was vocal and coherent with his abolitionist views. Hall launched a movement called Back to Africa, which sought to secure funds from the legislature to support voluntary immigration back to Africa for black people who had been enslaved. The culmination of the movement was an immigration plea that was put together by Hall and 73 other African American delegates. They presented the plea to the Massachusetts Senate, but it was not well received and ultimately failed.
To all the Prince Hall Masons, this is your land. Your ancestors was here before the European. The original definition of American are the various copper-tone peoples found on the America continent by the Europeans. How are you going to try to ask immigrants who immigrated here running from St. James from the Christian Bible, whom you kiss in your degrees, for immigration to go back to Africa? So not only was he telling you to help the colonizer, he was trying to get you to abandon your own estate. Then the Europeans really had claim because all of y'all would have left, which we have the proof also. They allowed a lot of different Asiatics who were enslaved to choose where they wanted to go, whether it was London, different places. And when they got there, within months, they was living on the streets, begging people to help them get back to their masters in America. You have so-called leaders of African countries apologizing about assisting in selling their own brothers to the European. So you step up to a European and you say, "Why do you have my brother in slavery?" And he says, "Well, your other brother sold him to me." Who are you going to jump on first? Yeah, they're both wrong. They're both wrong as shit. But what I'm saying is, they was buying them from your own brother. So calling yourself names that delude to slavery, or identifying yourself with names that the European placed upon you during oppression, of course you're going to still be oppressed. Like the Dred Scott case, it told you that people who call themselves black have no standing in law, because that's a name that's a dead status during slavery. It was oppression identification. So you was supposed to give back the European slave names and take on your ancestors' appellations, El Bey, Day, Al, and Ali. Them are the true holders of the estate of Americas, not just North, South, and Central, and across the great Atlantic Ocean onto what they call Africa. So it's all yours. So you'll give up all of your estate just for a little bit. It shows Prince Hall did not have the keys. So now we'll get back into as far as the race or what you call skin tone and all that. You could have a brother knock at my temple door, and when I answer it, he says, I'm white and I want to assist in this uplifting of fallen humanity. I'll look him dead in his face and tell him he ain't to join if he's calling himself white. You could have a twin brother knock on my door and say, peace, brother, I'm of Irish descent, or I'm of Celtic descent, or I'm of Russian descent, or I'm of Moorish descent. May I come in? And I'll say, come on, brother, you're welcome. You want something to eat, something to drink? Here, brother, sit yourself down and make yourself a part of the furniture. It has no difference about your skin tone, but if you identify yourself with names of colors that delude to slavery, or you do not honor your foremothers and forefathers' nationality and divine creed, then we will not honor you. It has nothing to do with skin tone, but you mixed it up as such. Just like my forefather Albert Pike, he said he would not be sitting beside a Negro, but that is not the skin tone. He didn't honor the man because he didn't honor himself. He didn't call himself who his foremothers and forefathers called himself. But you could have a man that was very melanated sit beside Pike, and if he said, yes, brother, I'm Moorish American, he would have honored him as such. Now, just a regular man on the street, that's not demanded upon. But if you're coming around me talking about you're a master mason and you're on your square and all of this, and you don't even know your nationality, that's the first thing you was supposed to learn when you went into them so-called temples. You was supposed to get a nationality card. Where's your nationality card? Where's your national flag? Where's your divine creed? Because it can't be Christianity. Christianity was began by Rome. So to all the Prince Hall Masons, you want to get the real information, contact me at thecornishtemple@gmail.com, and I'll get you in contact with the brothers that the Europeans claim they went to the World Fair and got their charter by the Moorish Temple. Direct contact, I'll get you in contact. In regards to your square, that goes to 360, 720. Nationality, divine creed, the two pillars, divine and national. You have civics where you're supposed to know law. They ain't teaching you jurisprudence. Then you have the other pillar, which is divine. In regards to Noble Drew Ali, I'll close to this. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways. He was telling you back in the 1920s. They ain't told you this. You ain't learned any kind of keys like this from Prince Hall. When people speak of a prophet, they speak of religion. This man wasn't speaking religion. He was speaking of nationality and divine creed. He's telling you to quit calling yourself names that identify with slavery. He has the true names of your ancestors, El Bey, Day, Al, and Ali. You can go look at all the Shriner fezzes and see all your family names on them and all the locations where your family is from, even to the Americas all the way over. I leave you in peace and love, brothers and sisters. I appreciate you studying at the Cornish Temple. And remember, all these other Masonic temples are not teaching nationality. They have their members calling themselves white or black, names that delude to slavery. Therefore, they're all canceled out. The Cornish Temple is the mother temple, because we're the only one that's teaching the divine creed of nationality. And to all the Prince Hall brothers, You came into the knowledge for a reason, but you can't unfold into perfection if you ain't getting the water you need. Your flower can't unfold into perfection if they're feeding you gas or vinegar. Noble Drew Ali said, don't mark your fezzes. It shows you're free. Islam.